G'day everyone, it's Master Yoda here and hope you guys are all doing well. Topic of today's video is called Can Chads often be lonely? And can Chads really empathise and understand Inkwells? Meanwhile, normies are often bullies, contrary to popular belief and memes. Yeah, I made this video in response to a comment left on my previous video, the reaction video I did to the documentary on the online dating industry, and it was left by a commenter by the name of Spawtrapped Currycel, and I must thank him for leaving this comment and making his suggestions. And this is what Spawtrapped Currycel wrote. He said, Master Yoda, I would like to hear your opinion on a comment that was made under a video of a Chad content creator. He argues that Chads can often be lonely, and the following was said in the comment: Chad, legit Chad, not some high-tier normie, and equals are two groups of people that become jaded with the superficiality of people. Ironically, Chad is the one that can really empathise and understand Inkwells. Meanwhile, normies are often bullies, contrary to popular belief and memes. And Spawn-Trapped Carousel then asked, do you agree with this? If not, what is your opinion? Okay, Noel, thanks for that comment and some of the questions you've raised. There's some excellent points you've raised there. With Chads, well, the first point about can Chads often be lonely? Well, I suppose they can. I mean, like, you know, the Chads can have dry spells in between relationships and hookups, but those dry spells or periods of loneliness are going to be very brief. You know, if the guy's a legit Chad, I mean, it's going to be easy for him to either jump on a dating app or site or go to his local nightclub and pick up a woman that way. So, yeah, they can be lonely, but it's going to be brief. It's a different story when you're an unattractive guy. I mean, say you're able to manage to fluke your way into a relationship or a hookup, and that should that relationship end, as an unattractive guy, you don't know where that next relationship could come. That's if it comes, because you know, obviously hypothetically, a Chad could, you know, ask out 10 women, 5 will say no, or 5 will say yes. So even if a Chad does cop a few no's, he knows a yes is just around the corner. Different story when you're a physically unattractive guy. You're getting nothing but no's, and that yes may never come. And in cases like guys like me, it never did come, and that's why I gave up on dating. So yeah, Chads can be lonely, but only briefly. Okay, we'll go further into Spawntrapp's post. He said also Chad is the one that can really empathise and understand Inkwells. Meanwhile, normies are often bullies. It really on that point, it really depends on the Chad. If the Chad was born with those looks, a lot of those guys struggle to empathise with people less fortunate than themselves, and the reason being is obviously if you're born with those good looks, you know, throughout your life you're going to have nothing but positive validation and reinforcement from women, and it's going to be very hard for you to relate to people less fortunate than yourself. I'll give you an example. No, I must apologise. Excuse me. I must bring up my sorry. I must bring up my Chad friend from the cruise, Tim. We were having a discussion briefly after the. I remember we were having this chat shortly after the cruise, and it went something like this. Tim goes, "Oh, Master Yoda, everyone was hooking up with everyone." And I said, "Tim, no, mate, no, that's not true. Yes, got people like you, no homo here, with your looks. Yeah, you did very well with ladies, and good luck to you. Congratulations. But guys like me got absolutely nothing." And I imagine a lot of the other physically unattractive guys on that cruise got nothing either. Because you may recall from the video that I did about the cruise, every night on that cruise on the back of the ship, I think they call it the stern, there was a disco nightclub sort of thing, and all the sub 5, sub 4, sub 3 guys like me were just standing there like idiots with drinks and dicks in our hands in one corner, and all the Chads with all the girls with them. Yeah, so I imagine a lot of other unattractive guys didn't do. I imagine they would have bombed out with women as well. Yeah, so because I think, look, in fairness to my Chad friend, I think he made that comment because The problem with a lot of Chads is they seem to think that we're all playing on the same level playing field when it comes to hooking up and having hookups and relationships with women. We're not. A guy like me, for example, I'm not playing on the same level playing field as a Chad. No way. A Chad, when it comes to women, a Chad's gonna, he's gonna whip my ass every time. But that's because the women, women are going to choose them over you. I mean, I've been in countless social situations where the women pick the best looking guy over guys like me, and women are perfectly entitled to do that. And obviously, women are going to go for the best option because they're acting on their biology. And they're seeking the best genetics for any offspring they may want to have with a particular man. Definitely not going to happen with me, and that's why they'll pick the Chad or the better looking guy. And I've witnessed that countless times. I've lost count the amount of times I've seen Chads at social functions absolutely clean up with women just because of their looks. But that's life. And also too, I mean, whilst all people should be treated equally, unfortunately, we're not created equally. Once again, physically unattractive guys are not playing on the same level playing field as a Chad. No way. Chads have a massive advantage over you. Massive advantage over you. A Chad, a guy that was born a Chad, he's not going to be able to relate to people less fortunate than himself. It's a bit like, say you got a rich person who was born into wealth. That person's not going to be able to relate to poor people or working class people. Think about it. They've had the silver spoon in their mouth their whole life. They've never had to do it tough. They just don't know. They just can't empathise. But to be fair, I've conversed with some Chads and Tyrones over the internet, and to be fair, they sympathise and empathise with men who are less fortunate than themselves, and I respect that. Some do, some don't. It really just depends on the individual Chad or Tyrone. But I think the guys that can really, the Chads that can really empathise and understand Inkwells are guys who've look-smacked their way into becoming a Chad. The classic example would be the BP content creator Ascended. Here you have a gentleman from the United States, who was what you'd call, say, slightly below average to average looking. He was going bald and he was overweight. Did some hard looks maxing, got a successful hair transplant. Did some soft looks maxing in going to the gym and attaining an athletic physique. And now he's gone from a guy who couldn't pull a woman to save his life to a guy who can attract attractive women on a fairly regular basis and successfully. And good luck to the guy. The thing I admire about him, he doesn't forget, he never forgot where he came from. In many of his videos, he does point out that he does empathise and sympathise for men less fortunate than him and who are not able to look-smack their way out of their situation. Because unfortunately, some guys can't. I mean, I tried to look-smack my way out. I couldn't. I went from probably a 1 out of 10 to a 4. Well, guess what, guys? Even a 4 out of 10, that's not going to cut it with a modern woman these days. When I did some serious looks maxing, women just saw me, he's just an ugly dude with a good body. Whoopie-doo. So that's one thing I do admire about Ascended. He was able to look-smack his way into being a Chad that's popular with women, but at the same time too, he never forgot where he came from, and he can empathise for men less fortunate than himself, and I respect that. So guys like that you'll find will empathise and sympathise with Inkwells. The other point that Spawtrapped said, normies are often bullies. Yeah, they are. Yeah. If you tell normies that you're struggling with dating, they'll gaslight you. They'll hit you with shaming language, and they'll bully you. Oh yeah. And they say it's all your fault. You don't have any confidence, or you must hate women, and all the other ridiculous shaming insults that they throw at you. And so it's not your fault. I mean, if you're a physically unattractive guy, there's really not much you can do about it. So, yeah, just to conclude, I think some Chads and Tyrones can sympathise and can empathise and sympathise and understand Inkwells. Some can, some can't. It just depends on on the individual chat or Tyrone. I mean, I've conversed over the internet with some Chads and Tyrones, and no, they were cool. They were sympathetic, and they had empathy for people, men less fortunate than themselves. Others don't, but it just depends on the individual. It really does. Yeah. Anyway, that's all to say on the topic. Once again, a very big thank you to Spawtrapped Currycel for putting that comment and raising those questions. Yeah, so once again, thank you for listening to my video. And if you'd like to leave your likes, comment, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. You guys have a great day. Bye for now.